Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Tutorials 2K21. So today is the last session for C programming language, and today we are going to discuss file handling in C programming. So I'll start with the definition of a file, then we'll see what are the different types of files we have and how we are performing the basic operations on files, like how to create, how to open, how to perform read and write operations, and then how to close a file. And then we'll see how you're going to access the content of a file randomly, and we'll go through some programs for demonstrating all these file operations, and we'll copy the content of one file to another file, and we are trying to read and write in different versions. At last, we are going to see the concept how we can handle the errors regarding files in C programming language, then command line arguments. So these are the topics we are going to discuss today, and I'll start with the definition of a file. So simply we can say file is nothing but a space in memory where the data is stored. So files can be used to store a large amount of persistent data. So simply we know that in our computer systems or laptops, we can store a data in a form of files in a hard disk. So we simply say like the place where we can keep the large amount of information and such things we can say like files. So in C programming language there are two types of files. One is text files and the second one is a binary files. So we'll see in brief about the text and binary files. So I'll start with the text files. So these are the normal files which is having an extension of .txt. So we can easily create these text files using any simple text editors. Like we can use WordPad, Notepad, Notepad++. So whatever it will be. So these text editors is going to see all the contents in a form of plain text, and we can easily edit or manipulate or delete the content from the file. So these files will take minimum effort to maintain, and we can easily read the content of this file, and these text files will provide very less security, and it takes bigger space for storing the text content. Whereas the binary files, so mostly the operating system files, so like we can say .bin files. So in our computer, so those which are having .bin extension are said to be a binary files. So instead of storing a plain text, so these binary files can store data in a form of zeros and ones, and they can hold a higher amount of data and that are not readable very easily, and it provides a better security than a text files, because the zeros and ones form the data is not easily understood by the user. So obviously as compared to a text files, binary file is having the more security. So we'll move on to what are the basic operations we are performing on files in C programming language, and we'll discuss each and every operation in brief. So the basic operations we can perform on files are, we can create a new file, and we can open an existing file. We are performing reading, writing, and we are moving the cursor to a specific position, and we can close the files. So these are the basic operations we can perform on files concept. So we'll see in brief about each and every operation. So the first one is creating or opening a file. So creating or opening a file means like we have to create a new file, or else we are trying to open an existing file which is already available in our computer. So for creating or opening a new file, we can use fopen function in C programming language, and this function is going to assign to a file pointer which will take two arguments, the file name and the mode which we are going to open for what purpose. So file is a data structure which is defined in a standard library. So we are using that file data structure, and we can take a file pointer for creating, opening, or whatever the operations we want to do with files. So fopen is a standard function which is used to open or create files in C programming language. So whenever we are using fopen function, the compiler will check whether the file is existed or not. So if it is not existed or present in the system, so then it will create and open a file for us. So if the file is already existed or it is presented in the system, then it is directly opened by using this fopen function. So here fp is a file pointer which point the type of the file. So here somewhat more description about the mode. So a mode is used to specify whether you want to open a file or for what purpose. So whether we want to do a read operation, write operation, or any appending operation. So whatever the operation we want to do, and that operation will specify by the mode in fopen function. So these are the different types of modes available in C programming language when work with the text files. So here R is a mode which will open an existing file for reading, and W is a mode which opens a file for writing purpose. If file is not existed, then it will create a new file and it open for write operation. And A is a mode which opens a file for append mode. So here the text is edited or the text is appended at the end of the existing text file. So R plus, W plus and A plus, these are the extended modes. So that is R plus is open a text editor for both reading and writing operation, whereas W plus is also open a text file for both reading and writing, but it truncate the file with 0 length. So when we open a file with W plus mode, so first it truncate with 0, that is the cursor is placed at the 0th position, then it starts reading and writing. So A plus is an appending mode. So read will start from the beginning and write can only be appended. So like we can start reading from the beginning of the file, but we cannot write the things from the beginning. So we can append the text at the end of existing text by using this A plus mode. So depends on our requirement. We can open a file by using any of these modes for the text files. So we'll go with an example and how to create a file in C programming language. So here file is a data structure and star fp is a file pointer, and we can use this file pointer and we can assign the fopen function. So here I am trying to create my file name data which is of type txt, and I'll try to open this file for write mode. So that is whenever I am given this statement, my compiler is going to check whether data.txt file is existed on my desktop. If it is not existed, then it is created and it is open for write mode. So whenever we want to operate with the binary files, so instead of this mode, we simply provided like RB, WB, AB, RB plus, WB plus and AB plus. The purpose is same, but here the succeeding of this B will indicate we are working with a binary file. It's not a text file. So then we'll go with reading, writing and closing operations also. And after that we'll demonstrate with a programming. So reading a data from the file. So when files concept, when we go with a reading operation, like we are trying to take the content from the file. So that is nothing but a reading operations regarding to files. So in C programming language, there are three different functions which is supported file reading operations. So one is fgetc, fgetS and fscanf. So fgetc is a function which will take character by character, and it is taken from the file pointer. Like we are passing file pointer as an argument to this function. So which file is pointed by the file pointer, then it starts reading the characters from that file. So whereas fktest is a function which will take 3 arguments, like we can provide the buffer and we can specify the length of that particular buffer, and then we have to provide the file pointer. So when we say buffer, it will take an array representation. So always index starts from 0 and ends with n-1. So we are trying to read n-1 strings, 1 characters from the file, which will be stored on a string in a buffer, in which the null character, that is a \0, is appended as the last character in that buffer. Whereas fscanf is also one reading function, so which will take 3 arguments like file pointer and conversion specifier and variable address. So it is used to parse and analyze the data, and it reads the characters from the file and assigns the input to a list of variables, that pointer variables, using this conventional specifiers. And we can keep in mind a scanf and fscanf will stop reading a string when white space or a new line it can encounter. So if you want to read the white space also, we can include fktest instead of fscanf function. So for writing also, for writing means now you are going to give some information into file. Like we are putting some information into file. Simply that operation is said to be writing a file in C programming language. So in stdio.h, the library, it offers necessary functions to write a content into file. So there we have 3 files are supported to perform a writing operation on files. One is fputc, fputS, and fprintf. So fputc is a function so which can write the content, like it will take 2 arguments like character and a file pointer, and it writes the characters to a file which is pointed by the file pointer. Whereas fputS, which is similar, so here we are providing 2 arguments like string and file pointer, and it writes a string to the file which is pointed by the file pointer. Whereas fprintf, so which will take 3 arguments like file pointer, string, and variable list. So it prints a string to the file pointed by the file pointer, and the strings can optionally include a format specifiers and a list of variables which is provided by a variable list. So after performing all the operations on files, we must close the file by using fclose function, which will take file pointer as an argument. So fclose function will take file pointer as an argument, and which will close the file which is pointed by the file pointer. So now which prevents an accidental damages to the file. So these are the basic file operations. So we'll discuss later how you are going to access randomly the content of a file. Before that, we are going to demonstrate with some programs, try to understand how to create a file in different ways, and how we are using different mode of operations, and how to read and write, and how to copy the content from one file to another file, and these things we are going to demonstrate now. So I'll use dev C++ to execute all my file programs. So my dev C++ is available at location document. So whatever the files I'm provided, so that defaultly saved in my documents. So a little bit later, I will tell you how you're going to create your file at a specified locations. So here you can create a files in multiple ways. Like you can explicitly create a file first, then you can pass that file name in your program itself, or else by using fopen function you can create a file, and that file is explicitly created on your specified location. So we can go with the different variations and we can execute the programs. So like I'll demonstrate how to create a file in C programming language. So I'll provide my program name is prog1. So here I copy my program. So creating a file in C. So here I'll demonstrate you how I'm going to create a file in C programming language. So this is my basic program. So for that, here I am taken one buffer. So that simply I can say this one string I am taken. So that string I am provided my length is 100, so that I am capability to keep maximum of 100 characters in my file. So here I am created one file pointer name fptr. So by using my file data structure, and after that I am taken a file name that is test.txt. So this file is my file name which I provided. So my C compiler, when I am using fopen function, when I pass this file name to my fopen function, so here I want to create a file so that I can open my file with write mode. So what my compiler will do is it will check whether any file is existed, then it will open, or else it will give you an error message like error in opening a file. If file pointer is equals to null means there is no file is pointed by the file pointer. That is the meaning of that. That is there is no file created in my location. So it will give me that type of error, or else it will create a file with test.txt and then it opens for me for writing mode. So and after that I prompt the user, so input some sentences for the file. So by using fgetS, I am trying to read string by string up to the size of the string is reached. So here you can provide size of str, or else simply you can provide 100, both are same. And now you are going to take an input from the standard input, that is a keyboard. So that here I am provided std in. So now this statement is going to access the things from the keyboard and trying to place into my file test.txt. And later I am using fprintf function and I am going to print the strings on my screen. Sorry, this fprintf function is going to print going to take all these things which is going to be inserted in my file, because I am taken input from the keyboard, and from that keyboard my input is given to my file, my program, and from that my program that things are inserted into my file. So by using this fprintf, that is going to be happened. So it takes a string and it will take the file pointer and it will place that string into that file pointer. And after completion of my operation, I simply close my file by using fclose function. Simply I can pass my file pointer fptr, and the end I'm given a statement on my screen like the file is the name with test.txt is created successfully. And later I want to show the output. So for that I'm going to my location. From that I'll check this test.txt file and I will see my input whatever I'm provided, and that will be inserted in my file. I just demonstrate that. So I just execute this program. So I compile and run this program. So now see, so the file is created and it will ask me, give me some sentences for this file. So here I provided welcome to tech tutorials. So I just click on enter. So now you can see the file test.txt is created successfully, but we cannot view the output welcome to tech tutorials on desktop, because I can see that output on my file test.txt. So I already said, so all my files are defaultly stored at location documents, because my dev C++ is currently working on that directory. So I'll go with document and I can find out that test.txt. So now it is just created by this time 10:08. So it is just now created. I just open this file. Now you can find out that welcome to tech tutorials. So this is how you are going to create a new file, and then how to insert a text from the keyboard to files. So we'll move on to the next example. So how we are going to read content from an existing file. So this is my second topic. So I just copy and paste into my editor. So now you can see these two are my header files. One second. So these two are my header files and this is my main function. So here I created one file pointer, that is fptr, and here I want to open an existing file. So I'm asking the user enter an existing file name. So after the user is entered the file name, I just trying to open that file for read mode by using this fopen function, and later I will check whether that file is existed or not. If file is existed, then it is open and it will show me the content of that file. If file not existed, then it will show me a message like file does not existed or cannot be opened. So I will show you the cases. So after the file is opened, so now I'm using my character str. So I will read character by character from the file. So because of that I am using fgetc. So fgetc is a function which I am going to use to performing a reading operation. That is whatever the content I have in my file, I can read by using this fgetc function. So which will take file pointer as an argument. So now it will read until end of the file is occurred. That is no more characters are there. Up to now it will read. And whatever the content I'll read, and I will take each and every character and I'm going to display on my screen. So for that simply I'm using printf statement here. And after that this process is continued, means it will take character by character from the file and it is going to be printed on screen. So this process is going to be continue until it reaches the end of the file. After I'm reading and displaying the content on my screen, I just close my file. So I just execute this program. So I will show you the error case. Like I am trying to open a file, so which is not existed in my location. So I am given like 1234.txt. So now you can see like file does not exist or cannot be opened because this test1234.txt file is not there in my document. Because of that reason it will provide it like this. So we know like test.txt file is existed. Just now I created in my previous program. So I just given that text file name. So now it is opened and the content of the file is given as welcome to tech tutorials. So see what this program will demonstrate. Like I am trying to open an existing file. So that existing file, whatever the content I have, that I am going to display on my desktop. So if file not existed, then it is going to display message like file does not exist or else it is not open for reading. So we'll go with another program. So which will show you, we'll copy the content of one file to another file. As of now, we seen that we can take the content from keyboard and we are placing into file, and we seen that we taken a content from the file and we are going to display on desktop. So now this is a concept how we are going to make copying the content of one file to another file. Like I have two files. So one file is existed with some content and I want to create a new file, so which doesn't having anything, so that I am trying to copy the content of existing file to my new file. So that is the theme of this program. So I am going to explain you. So remember, whenever we want to do a copying operation, like we need two files, and one file it must be existed and another file it need to be created. So the existing file it can be opened for read mode, and new file it must be open for the write mode. And after that, here the logic is I am trying to take a character by character from the existing file and I am trying to copy into my new file again character by character. So for that, here I am taking two file pointers which is to be pointed for existing as well as new file. And here I am taken two arrays. One array will take my first file name and another array will take my second file name. Here it is a character which will read character by character from the file. So these are my printf statement. So here simply I am provided a statement like copying a file in another name. So input the source file name. So here it will ask me like what is an existing file name. So I'll provided my existing file name here. So that file it is going to check whether that file is existed or not. If it is existed, then it is open, or else it will show me like an error message like a previous example. So if it is existed, then it will ask me like enter a new file name. So it will read that file name from the keyboard and it is open that new file for write mode. For that also it is checking whether that file is existed or not. If it is existed, then it will read a character by character from my first file, because here I provided my file pointer 1. So file pointer 1 is having or pointed to my first file. So it will read a character until it reaches the end of the file. So if when it reaches end of file, it just break, else it will take the character and it is placed in my second file by using this second file pointer. So now after copying the content of file 1 to file 2, it simply show me a message like the file existing is copied successfully into the new file. So for that I am taking here file 1 and file 2, and after completion of my operations I just close my two files by using fclose functions. So I just execute this program. So it will ask me input the source file, that is my existing file. So I'll provide my existing file name is test.txt. I just click on enter. So it will ask me for the new file. I'll provide gauri.txt. So now you can see the file test.txt copied successfully in the file gauri.txt. So what's happening after this program is the content of test.txt is going to be copied into a gauri.txt, so which is presently created. So I will show you the output. I already said my files are stored in document. So I'll open. So now you can see. So in my documents, so gauri.txt is just now created. So in my previous, I created this test.txt. Now you can see welcome to tech tutorials is there. And then by this gauri.txt also you can find welcome to tech tutorials. So the content of this test.txt we can see in gauri.txt also. So this is how you are going to copy the content of one file to another file. So these programs is demonstrated like how you are creating or opening an existing files for both read and write operations, and then how you are performing this read write operations in different ways, like how to take a content from the keyboard and place into file, and how to take the content from the file and place into desktop, and how to make the communication between two files. So this is demonstrated as of now. So we'll move to the next topic, that is random accessing of files. So the accessing of files is nothing but in C programming language, it is possible that we can access the content from a specific positions. Like we can place a cursor at a position and from that we are going to read, and that is possible by using this random accessing of files concept. In C programming language, this concept is supported by three different functions like ftell, rewind and fseek. So we'll just go through in brief about these three functions. Then I'm going to demonstrate with a simple program. So ftell is a function which is going to return a current position of the file pointer. Simply we can use means it gives a current position, is that is nothing but an integer value. So simply we can use ftl function, which will take your file pointer as an argument, and it will return an integer value, and that integer value it may 0 when the cursor is placed at initial position. So the next function is rewind. So this rewind function will makes a file pointer to move to the beginning of the file. So wherever my cursor position from current, so I can place the cursor positions to the beginning of my file. I can use this rewind function in my C programming language. So rewind function will take one argument, that is of a file pointer. And then the last function is fseek function, and this fseek function is going to place the cursor to a specified position. So the fseek function will take three arguments like file pointer, offset and position. So the file pointer will specify what file with what file I am going to operate, whereas my offset will specify like how many characters I want to move, and the position will specify from where, like from the current position or from the beginning or from the end I want to move. So that is given by my position. So we'll see offset is nothing but the number of positions to be moved while reading or writing, and it can be either positive or negative. When I am given a positive value, it will move forward direction. When I am given a negative value, it will move in a backward direction. Whereas the position will take three different type of values. 0 indicates beginning of the file, 1 indicates the current position, and 2 indicates the end of the file. So I will demonstrate with a simple example, like we can take fseek function. We'll take file pointer, and this 0 indicates I cannot move any bytes because I provided 0 bytes here, and here I provided 2 means I want to move from the end of the file. So that is the meaning of this. And m is specified by the offset value. So plus m indicates the positive value and minus m indicates the negative value. So it depends on my position I am given as my third argument. Either it can move from the beginning or it can move from the current position or end of the positions. So I'll demonstrate with a simple example. Random access. Yes. So here I'll demonstrate you how you are going to use this fseek, ftl and rewind functions in C programming language in order to access the file randomly. So now you can see this is my file pointer, and so here I am taking one integer variable. For taking a cursor position I want to show you, and this is a way how you are going to create your file at a required position. So here I want to create test1.txt, or else test1 is already existed, so that I'll provide test12.txt file which I want to create it on my desktop. So as of now, which I demonstrated, all my files are created at documents, whereas in this example I want to create my test12.txt file into my desktop for write plus mode. So when I am open a file for write plus mode, so it is verify whether that file is existed or not. If it is existed, then it is open file for both reading and writing operation. If it is not existed, then it is open file, and it start truncating at 0th position, and it start writing, and after that it's reading. So now here I'll provide like some text which I am provided through my keyboard. I want to place in my file. So name test12.txt. So here I provided like this is tech tutorials.com. So here is a text I want to place in my file test12.txt, and after that I am using fseek function. I am passing fp is a file pointer so that it will point test12.txt file. So I'll position my offset value is 7. So what it will do, simply my cursor is placed after the 7th position and it will set whatever the text I have provided here. So by fputs function I am provided C programming here. So after 7th place it is going to be inserted this value, and after that I am trying to print my current position of my cursor by using this ftl function. So this is going to be return the current position after my text is inserted. So by using this rewind, I am going to place my cursor to the beginning of my file. So for that I am going to show you again I am printing the current position of my file pointer and I am calling ftl of fp. So here it will provide me the current position of my file pointer, whereas this ftl will return 0 because I am calling this rewind function. And after that I am trying to read character by character from my file. It reaches end of the file pointer and I am going to display the same content on my screen. Because of that, simply I am going to use here the printf statement. After completion of all my operations, I just close my file. So I just execute this program. So now we'll see the current position of the file pointer is 21 and current position of the file pointer is 0, and this is a C programming programs.com. So now I'll show you a file which was created on my desktop. So now you can see. So here is a file test12.txt is created and here is a content. This is cprograms.com. So here you can observe that at the time of when I am creating this file, I am given the text here techtutorials.com. So now it reaches the 7th place. Whatever the content I have, it just replaces the content text tutorials with C program, and then the remaining is as usual, it is displayed. So after it inserting here, my current position of my cursor is here, so that it will display me the current position of the cursor is 21. And after I am calling the rewind, again I am printing my current position. It will show me the output as 0. See, now you can observe this. And after that, whatever my file content is there, and that is I am seen in my desktop. So this is how you are going to access the content of file randomly. So we move on to the next topic. So that is error handling in files. So this concept will give you an information like whenever some errors is occurred during the file operations, like the operations like when you are trying to open a file which is not at all existed, and when we create a file for read mode instead of write mode. So some type of errors when occurred in files, when we deal with the files concept in C programming language, then how you are going to handle those type of errors, that is going to discuss in this topic. So here these are some examples that leads an errors in files, that is when trying to read a file beyond the indicator, and when trying to read a file that is not existed, and when trying to use a file that has not been opened, and when trying to use a file in appropriate mode, like we are open for read mode and we are performing write operation, and we are open a write mode and we are trying to perform a read operation. So all such things will lead an errors in files. So whenever such type of errors is there, how you are going to handle those type of errors is given by this file handling concept. So failures to check all these type of errors will make the program may behave abnormal. So therefore an unchecked errors may result premature termination for the program, or it interrupts the output. So here are some functions in C programming language which support to handle the file errors. So F error, P error and str errors. These are the three different types of error handling functions which is going to handle different types of errors in a different ways in C programming language. So we'll see in brief about each and every type of error handling function. We'll start with ferror function, which will check for any error in the given tree, and it returns a value 0 if no error has occurred, and it returns a non-zero value if there is any error. So these error indication will last until the file is closed unless it is cleared by the clear error function. So whenever you want to display something as manually, so whatever the things as of we did, like see for example when we are creating a file which is not at all created, then we are trying to display some message like file not existed, file not opened, like that. Such type of things we can handle with this F error. Whereas PRR and STR error is going to handle in different way. Like the P error is a function which is used to print the error, and it returns the string along with the textual representation of a current error number. So some predefined errors are defined by the programmer as a time of implemented C programming language. Such type of errors we can take from the stack, and we are going to display those errors by using this P error function. Whereas str error is a function which is declared in string.h header file, and it returns the pointer to the string of current error value. So we'll move on to the next topic. Before that, I just demonstrate these three different types of functions to handle the file errors. So I'll start with f error. So I just copy and paste it in my editor. So now you can see this is my main function and this is my file pointer. So here I am taken one string that act as a buffer which can keep maximum of 100 characters, and this is my I which I am going to use this variable in my for loop later. And here I am created one file name unexist.txt for read mode. So when I'm trying to this file is not at all existed on my desktop. So it will show me like a printf statement file could not be opened. It will show you. So and if that file is existed, so then it simply print like provide a feedback on this article. So whatever the content you are given, and that is going to be taken. Right. So now see here we are taken input from the keyboard. So it will take a character by character and it is placed onto string itself. So it will show me an error like error in writing file, because here I did a mistake for making the right operation. So I'll demonstrate this. So now you can see the file could not be opened because this file is not existed on my desktop, because unexist.txt file is not there. Suppose I have a file like so what file I was created before. I just want to see on my desktop just a second. So test12.txt file is existed on my desktop. So I'll provide that test12. So this file is existed. So I just run this. So now it will ask me enter a feedback. See, provide a feedback. So I'll provide a very good session. So because I'm given the way of writing the content into file in a wrong way, so that it will display me an error, right? Error is writing in file. So now I'll demonstrate another two functions like p error and standard error. 1 second. Desktop. So now I'll show you, right. So here I have a file on my desktop is okay. So I want to give a file name which has not existed, then only it will show me error. So I have a file test12.txt is there. So I already said whenever we want to use this error, p error and str error, we have to include header files like error number dot header file and string dot header file. So here this is my global variable error number I'm going to use in my program. So here I'm trying to open a file test.txt which is not at all available on my desktop. So because of this file is not existed, it will show me an error. So which is by defaultly implemented by the developer. So I will execute this program. So now you can see it will show me an error, right? The value of error is 2 and error printed by the p error is no such file or directory is existed and error opening file. So no such file or directory. So see error opening file. So it will give me standard error that is stored in the stat value 2. So there is no such file or directory. So this is the error handling functions. So we'll move on to the next topic, that is command line arguments. So in C programming language, the command line arguments will give an opportunity to provide values from the outside world to the program. So every C programming is having a main function. So it will take two arguments. The first argument will be the number of arguments we have, and the second will take the list of command line arguments. So it will be simply in a form like main function will take two arguments like argc and argv. So argc is nothing but an integer variable which can take the count of an argument, whereas argv is a vector. So is a pointer, like it can take multiple string values. So we'll take in brief about this argc and argv. So argc is nothing but argument counter. So which is an integer value and it tells the number of command line arguments passed by the user. So it including the file name. So if we pass the value to a program value, suppose if we are passing some value to a program, so now it will make the arguments count is 2 because it will take the default argument is the first argument as a program name. And the value of this argc should be non-negative because we cannot take any negative values for the count. And now coming to argv, which is an argument vector. So is an array of character pointers which is used to listing all the arguments. And if your argument c is greater than 0 and the array elements, it starts from argv of 0 to argv of n minus 1. That is argc minus 1. We cannot say like arg because the count will be taken from c. So argument index starts from 0. It will take the last is before the counter like c minus 1 and will contain pointers to a strings, and arg0 is the name of the program, and after that till argv of argc minus 1 is every element which we provided as a command line argument. So I'll demonstrate with a simple example so that you can understand. Yes, it is a program for command line arguments. I just copy and paste into my editor. So this is my main function will takes two arguments like argc and argv. So now the default argument I already tell like argv of 0 place will take the program name. And if I'm going to pass the second argument, because here I'm checking whether I have two arguments. If I have two arguments, then it will try to display my first argument as my program name and second argument which I am passing to my program. If it is not 2 or greater than 2, it will display me a different messages. Like if it is greater than 2, it will provide me like too many arguments you supplied. And if it is less than 2, then it will provide it expecting one more argument. I'll show you all the cases. So I just execute this. I just compile and run this program. Now you can see program name is only given because I didn't pass any arguments to my program. So it asked me like one argument is expected. So have you given an arguments to your command line in dev C++ is just go to execute and go to parameters. Here you can provide. So suppose if I am providing Gauri is an argument. So I just click on OK. So I just pass one argument to my function. So I already said the first argument and the default argument will be taken as my program name. And here I am passing one more argument like Gauri. So my count is reached. So that what simply it will do, it will display my first argument as well as my second argument. See, I just execute this program again. So now you can see the program name is prog1.exe and the argument supplied is Gauri. So now I'm supplying one argument to in my parameter that is Gauri. So that is going to be displayed here. And I'm trying to give one more argument. So again in my parameters I'm going to pass one more string. So for parameters if you are providing white spaces it simply take as a different arguments. So here I provided Devi. So I am providing two arguments here and I have my program name as my third argument. So my argument list is greater than 2. It is going to display a message like too many arguments applied. So see, I just run this program again. Now you can see it will tell me too many arguments applied. So this is the command line arguments and this leads to complete the files concept in C programming language. I'm very thankful to each and every one behind me to complete the entire C programming concepts. Thank you so much for watching my videos. So here I gave the basic idea on the complete C programming in 11 days. In each and every day I was demonstrated with different topics. I hope this 11-day sessions is definitely helpful for you. So please go through all these videos and I am sure that after completion of this 11 videos you can understand the basic programming and how to write a programs in C programming language and how to implement different concepts in C programming. Thank you so much once again.